Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. This is the Wednesday episode, so this is going to be the day where we're going over the starts and sits for the Thursday night football games. So I'm going to be taking a quick little look on the game, if there's any notable things to talk about, and then going right into the starts and sits. So the line on this game, the over-under is 40.5 points. This should be a relatively low-scoring game. Both teams have pretty good defenses and kind of suspect offenses. Washington is 3.5-point home favorites, so this game's essentially a toss-up. If it was being played in New York, it would have been 2.5 favorite for the Giants. So if this was a neutral game script, the Washington football team would be a 0.5 favorite. So this is truly a toss-up like I already alluded to. But the implied point totals for this game, Washington football team 22 points and the New York Giants 18.5 points. So not very high scoring game overall. Maybe 3 touchdowns out of Washington's side, maybe 2 touchdowns and the field goal for the Giants. And I think this game definitely has a chance to hit the under. And like I said, with it being a toss-up, maybe you can take the Giants side and it would be all right too. So we'll have to see. It's especially important to remember that Ryan Fitzpatrick's not playing in this game. He's on IR. He's going to be out for a while now too. For the Giants start sits, first off, we got quarterback Daniel Jones. He's going to be a sit for me. Washington does have a pretty good defense like we already talked about, and Daniel Jones, very turnover-prone quarterback. I don't expect too much from him in this game, especially with that Giants offensive line versus a very good front four for the Washington football team. Then we got Saquon Barkley at running back. So based on where you drafted Saquon Barkley first round, maybe slipped in the second round in some leagues, but you pretty much have to start him unless you have like 2-3 clear, better running back options at this point in time. So you probably don't. Just temper your expectations. It's a tough matchup. The first game of the season, he played 29 snaps, which was 48% of the snaps overall. So they are limiting him for these first couple games or so. So don't expect a monster 20-point performance or anything like that. But, he's still probably a guy that's going to get you double-digit points because it's Saquon Barkley at the same time. Devontae Booker behind him, he's going to be a sit unless, Saquon and Barkley gets ruled out. He is still listed as questionable because he limited him in practice all week once again, but he played last week, so I don't think there's any reason that they would not play him unless something new pops up. Kenny Golladay, we didn't see much out of him week 1. He's a guy you probably have to start, maybe? I'm not even sure at this point. But I think it's going to be another tough matchup for him, so I'd temper your expectations. If you got a wide receiver 4 that you trust a little bit more in a more favorable matchup, you can definitely sit him, though. Sterling Shepard, he was the star of week 1, and I would not be surprised if he's the star of week 2, though. Wide receiver 2 plays in the slot a ton. For the Washington football team, they don't really have a slot corner or a bona fide slot corner like I kind of already alluded to in yesterday's waiver wire video. And I believe it was Kendall Fuller, who played a lot of snaps in the slot last week, and then Benjamin St. Juste came in and played on the outside. So maybe it's not the best matchup in the world for Shepard, but he's probably the primary target for the New York Giants in this game. Darius Slayton also factors in as well, but he's going to be a sit. He's not somebody that you drafted high. He's not somebody that you have to rely on at least early on in the season. Kadarius Toney, the exact same thing. You should not be starting him unless you're in like a super, super deep dynasty league where you're starting like 30 people or something crazy like that. Just don't see it. Kyle Rudolph, he's going to be a sit as well. Obviously filling in for Evan Ingram once again. Him and Caden Smith, the 2 tight ends there. Not really much upside unless either one of them score a touchdown. The Giants defense, you can definitely play them this week. Going against a backup quarterback. Already kind of talked about that yesterday a little bit too. So there is upside in that overall. Graham Gano, the kicker, if you have him on your team, just keep rolling him out there because he is a pretty good kicker, but there could be limited scoring opportunities in this game overall. Then we'll get moved over to the Washington football team side. So we got Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Not starting him this week. He does offer a little bit of rushing upside, but even in a 2-quarterback league, unless you're desperate, I'm not starting Taylor Heineke. Then at running back, we got Antonio Gibson, and he's a start. But kind of like Saquon Barkley, temper your expectations because he does have that shoulder injury. Practiced in full 2 days in a row. They're going to give him a shot in it before the game, so he should be all right. But if he gets smacked right on that shoulder bad, don't be surprised if he comes out of the game and does not come back in. This is something to monitor going forward. J.D. McKissick, the backup running back, pass catcher, really wasn't involved too much week 1. We'll see what he looks like throughout the rest of the season, but he's not a guy you can trust starting at this point in time. Terry McLaurin, start him up. He's going to be Terry McLaurin. Quarterback doesn't matter too much for him, but the matchup against James Bradbury is not a favorable one. So if you really have somebody else that you feel strongly about rather than Terry McLaurin, you could start them. But, it's just kind of a toss-up at that point in time. Then we got the wide receiver 2, apparently, Diami Brown. And he played on a ton of snaps in week 1. I believe it was 93%. But he didn't do anything. He had like 2 catches. I think it was for like -1 yards, too. So he's not a guy I'm excited about playing until he shows something. And it's still a relatively good Giants defense, so I don't expect too much out of him versus a good defense with a backup quarterback. Adam Humphries, kind of the same thing. He's going to be a sit. He might show some chemistry with Taylor Heineke. Maybe he looks to dump off to him, when he's under pressure, since he's that little slot wide receiver. Logan Thomas is going to be probably the only clear-cut start on here. He scored a touchdown, I believe, in 5 of his last 8 games. He plays 100% of snaps pretty much every single week, so he's going to be out on the field. He's going to be seeing targets from Taylor Heineke, and he might actually get the biggest boost from the move from Fitzpatrick to Heineke, because Fitzpatrick just doesn't like throwing to the tight end position for whatever reason. And Heineke, he's kind of this, you almost want to call him a young quarterback, but he's not, because he's 28 years old now, but he's a relatively inexperienced quarterback. Those guys typically look to the tight end position often. Washington football team defense, you can pretty much roll them out most weeks, and this is no exception, especially against a turnover machine and Daniel Jones. Dustin Hopkins, the kicker, not the best kicker in the world. Points could be at a premium in this game, so he's not somebody I'm excited to start, but you could in a pinch if you need to. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on the starts and sits for the Thursday night slate. If you guys think I missed anything, if you got any other questions related to this game, please let me know. I'll be doing my video going over the single game DFS, the showdown DFS for this game tomorrow, and I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's probably one that I'm not going to be playing too much, because this is just a yucky game, especially for single game DFS. There's going to be some values out there, but I think the values that are out there are going to be super chalky as well. But with that being said, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. We greatly appreciate it. It really helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at CoachCraigSports. And that's one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your fantasy football teams, helping you with DFS, whether it's NBA or NFL. Talking all the NFL news, talking some NFL draft prospects as we get closer to the 2022 NFL draft. And with that being said, if you are a new or current subscriber who's not already done so, please hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. And if you're new to my channel, Monday is the top performers video. Tuesday's waiver wire. Wednesday is obviously the starts and sits for the Thursday night football matchup, which is this video. Thursday is going to be the single game DFS for the Thursday night football game, the showdown slate. Friday is the dollar store stack series. So I go through cheap stacks that you can build for your DFS lineups to open up value elsewhere. And then Saturday is the starts and sits for all the remaining matchups on the week. So that's the general schedule. If you guys have anything else you'd like to see that I'm not already covering, just let me know and I'll see what I can do and try to make it happen for you guys as well. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.